possibly heat our space. If you guys are ready, we're going to head through the cafeteria and up some stairs. If you need the elevator, now would be the time, but the rest of you can follow me. Each of our stairwells, we use red lights as opposed to normal yellow or white lights. This reduces our light pollution, which we want to be mindful of for 2 reasons. The first is for the migratory bird species. So in the spring we have around 250 migratory bird species that will come through the Churchill area. So we want to be aware of our noise and light pollution so that we don't disrupt the navigational path. The second reason is northern lights. So our location away from town, we have some great northern lights viewing from here, so we want to reduce our light pollution so that we can see them as well as possible. We're going to head out into the observation deck. We won't stay out long, but there's some really cool building features you can see up there. It is a graded deck, so if you're weary of heights, do be aware of that.
Alright, so you guys will be able to see out this way, out east is home of the tundra buggies. So tomorrow when you're on your tundra buggy, you'll be heading out this way. Out to the west here is the remnants of our historical rocket range. If you take note, you'll see that our roof is kind of rounded on this end and slanted down towards the other end. That's to help prevent snow buildup. When we were in the old center, in the old building, we had a wicked snowstorm one day and the snow came up and over the center and we actually had a polar bear on the roof. Also, the center itself is built 6 feet above ground. It's open air underneath, so it allows air or the wind and the snow to move freely through to help prevent that snow buildup, so we don't have polar bears up on the roof anymore. If you guys take a quick look here, this is our solar wall. It passively heats up air prior to bringing it into the center. And before we all get too cold, I'll let you guys come back on in.
Actually, sorry, what was that?
That's our historical rocket range, and you guys will be able to go on a tour of that during your stay here, and Faith is like the best, my best rocket range tour giver around. Researchers, school groups, or learning vacation guests like you on site. So for example, we had a learning vacation guest. She was from the United States. She was a veterinarian. And she was sitting downstairs in the cafeteria, another one of our common spaces, sitting with one of our polar bear experts. And so they were having a conversation, and the veterinarian had mentioned she noticed that when dogs get stressed, they get little white spots on their eyes. So our polar bear researcher was kind of wondering if the same thing happens to our polar bears. Now that research didn't go anywhere, but it's the kinds of conversations that happen out here at the center that wouldn't happen really anywhere else. You're free to utilize the AV room, like I said, when we don't have you extremely busy, or if we have you too busy and you want to check out for a bit, this room is available to you. We have a great selection of DVDs. We've also had guests come in and plug in their own devices and watch college hockey. So if you're a hockey fan and you have access to that and the technology to know how to do that, I do not. You're more than welcome to lounge around here and watch. Faith had mentioned we are a LEED facility. Very proud of our silver certification. If you take a look at our walls here, you can see that they're very thick. They're 8 inches thick. Most homes require an insulation value of anywhere between R20 and R25. With our 8-inch thick walls, we're able to have an insulation value of R40. We do have triple pane argon windows. So with that being said, we're sealed up extremely tight, which is really good because it helps save on heating costs. I'm not too sure if Faith mentioned, but we spend more feeding our guests yearly than we do on heating our building, which is super important when we're sitting at -50, -30 ambient for 3 months of the year. But because we're sealed up so extremely tight, we have to keep our health in mind. So these vents here, there's a monitor just above the light switch there that detects carbon monoxide parts per million. When it hits a certain threshold, then these vents will bring in fresh air from outside, passively heated up by our solar wall, so we're not freezing in here as well. Just to help keep us healthy and awake. All right, we'll head on over to the Aurora Dome.
Hey, Alyssa. Good, you?
Amazing.
Thank you. So this is our Aurora Dome room. This is one of my absolute favorite rooms in the entire center. We do ask that only 4 people go up in the Aurora Dome at any given time. And if you're a little unsteady on your feet like me, please hold on to the rail. So the Aurora Dome, once you go up there and take a look around, you'll be able to see in our old building, we had an Aurora Dome as well. Now, that old building used to be the research rocket range kind of headquarters before CNSC was able to buy it and utilize it. So the dome in the old building was for not just viewing aurora like it is now in this new building, but it was for the operators to track the rockets as they were launched. Now, when we were building this new building, we absolutely knew we needed to recreate the dome here in the new center. And it's absolutely amazing. We do get a lot of learning vacation guests that come for our Aurora season. And we do have blackout blinds on all of our windows. We have the capability of shutting down all of our outside lights. So a lot of times our Aurora instructor will go 2, 3, 4 in the morning whenever the Aurora is out, and he gives a wake-up call. And I had one of my guests, she said, I do not feel like like gearing up into all of the winter gear. So at 2 in the morning, she had her pajamas on and her slippers, and she went down and made a cup of tea and dragged one of the chairs up. And while everyone was outside freezing, she was sitting up there with her tea in her jammies watching the light show. But the Churchill Research Rocket Range, it started in 1956. 1957 was the International Geophysical Year. Here in Churchill, we get 300 plus nights of aurora viewing. So obviously it was a great place for them to choose to come do aurora research. And the purpose of it was to study the aurora. So way back in 1956, 57, we didn't really know what caused the aurora, why it was here, what the purpose was. So after some years of research, we know exactly why the aurora, what its purpose is. Back in 1956, 57, there was some, conspiracy theories that maybe Russia was sending over the aurora. Because we noticed that when the aurora was out full dancing, radio communication waves would go all wonky. So like we know now, it's a natural phenomena that happens, and we're so very lucky. In 1985 was when the rocket range had shut down. So in its span from 1956 to 1985, they shot off approximately 3,320 rockets. Now, if you take a look outside, at the time, they thought this land was barren and unusable. Now, they didn't understand that not only do bears come through here, but this is also a caribou kind of area where a lot of longtime Churchill locals have gone out to hunt caribou, my family included. So they didn't really clean up the rockets that were sent out. So still to this day, we can find remnants of rockets out on the land. Now in 1985, like I said, is when the Churchill Research Rocket Range shut down. In 1988 is when it became a Canadian Historic Site. Yeah, and so they did try and revitalize the Research Rocket Center. Oh my goodness. So in 1998, they tried to bring it back. They were able to shoot off one rocket before funding completely collapsed and they had to pull out again. Now in 1998, I was about 15, 16 years old. And so I asked my mom, like, why were we not out here watching history happen? And she just said I was probably in town getting into trouble. So as you saw, we do have dormitory style rooms, 2 bunk beds in each room. But with a much better view than my university dorm. On any given night, we can house up to 84 guests. We also do have staff rooms, so we do at times have staff come live out here at the center. Actually, our executive director, when he first started a couple years ago, him and his dogs lived here for about 3 months. Yeah, waiting to get into housing. So on average, the North American uses approximately 325 liters of water per day. With all of the things we've implemented out here at the center, you'll notice that our taps are on timers, our showers are on timers. We collect our own water from Ramsey Lake during the summer months. And we've got our own filtration system here on site, so all the water is safe to drink. In the winter time, we do have to drive the 23 kilometers into town and the 23 kilometers back out to town. So water conservation is a high priority for us out here at the center. And with all of the things we've implemented, we were able to bring that number from 325 liters on average per person daily down to about 80 to 90 liters per person daily. It's a huge savings. All right, we'll head on downstairs and we'll head into the research department. I always like to reiterate the purpose of CNSC is to help researchers be able to come up to the north and conduct research in a safe area. On any given year, we house about 150 researchers. The unique thing about CNSC is that we are not tied to one specific university. We accept researchers from all over the country and even into the United States as well. We do 3 kinds of research out here at the center. We do our own in-house research. We have our researchers come from far away and come stay out here for, it could be from a week to 3 months out here conducting research. And we also do contract research. So we do have researchers that come up, implement a project, and then contract our research department, whether that be to go fix equipment, collect data, that type of stuff. But again, the main purpose of CNSC is to be able to provide logistics, accommodations, meals, equipment rental, safety briefing, how to work safely in bear country, and just to provide them as much support as we possibly can. We'll pop down here quickly to the sustainability department. So our sustainability, we're just gonna do a big loop around. I'm pretty loud, so I'm sure you could all hear me as we walk. But we've got Jaden and Kate are in charge of our sustainability department. They work extremely hard. Back in 2017, I'll just keep you guys coming with me slowly. Back in 2017, we had what they called the blizzard of the century. We got so much snow that actually my front door and my back door were completely snowed in, and I had to push my middle child out my office window, tell him to go find a shovel and start shoveling us out. We had to do that every day. It was March 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th that we were completely snowed in. Our entire town shut down. Of course, come spring, and spring in Churchill comes in late May. Come springtime, we got what they called the flood of the century, and it washed out our rail line. You'll have the chance this afternoon to head into town to our Churchill Northern store. Take a quick look at our grocery prices. Back in 2017, when we lost our rail line, our grocery prices skyrocketed. At the time, I had my 3 children living in my home. I have 2 adult children who have left since then. But there was myself, my husband, and our 3 children. Now, to be able to provide them 1 green salad a week cost me anywhere between $50 and $60 for 1 green salad. So at the time, Carly Basler was head of our sustainability department, and her focus was on food security. She hooked up with an organization called Grocer, and they were able to provide to us this hydroponic unit. This unit can house up to 85 units of leafy greens and/or herbs. But not only did they provide this unit to us, they provided to us a 40-foot sea can that can house up to 1,800 units of leafy greens and/or herbs. So we call this our rocket greens, because we like puns here out at CNSC. And we do have a subscription. So we do have local residents who subscribe weekly, and they can pick out which leafy greens and/or herbs they want delivered directly to their home at a very low cost. Also, our subscription is called our launch box, but not only Churchill local residents subscribe, we have hotels, we have our Churchill Northern store, our hospital. They all have subscriptions to Rocket Greens. And of course, if you had salad with lunch today, you ate some of our Rocket Greens. Yeah, so in the past, since 2018 is when Rocket Greens got started and got running, we were able to provide the community of Churchill with upwards of 90,000 units of leafy greens and/or herbs at that very reduced price, which is extremely helpful.
And the greenhouse runs all winter.
All winter long. Yeah. Yeah. And we're hoping to get a second sea can eventually. And then kind of hoping to branch out, maybe doing some peppers or berries, cucumbers, things like that. But plants are quite amazing, and they kind of know when to grow and when not to grow. I am definitely not a green thumb. I will leave that up to sustainability. But yes, this is the end of our green building tour. I believe Faith said meet at 2 o'clock, maybe about 10 to 2 down in the lobby here. So that gives you guys about a half an hour to head up to your rooms and get ready to head into town for a supply run. Sound good?